That's right, the other Leflaive. Poor Ollie Leflaive. These guys can't buy a break, you know? You'd think that, because you were a Leflaive, that your wine would like get some push because of the other Leflaive. And who's the other Leflaive I'm talking about? Well, formerly, you know, the Domaine Vincent Leflaive, or as people just know it, Domaine Leflaive, considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest producer of white wine on the planet, based in Puligny-Montrachet, producing profound wines that sell for god-awful amounts of money. And then there's the other Leflaive. But see, here's the deal. The other Leflaive also makes incredible, profound wines from a property based in Puligny-Montrachet that sell for ungodly amounts of money. But still, they're the other Leflaive. Poor Ollie. But here's something the other Leflaive does that the other Leflaive doesn't do. So while you're running around chasing after your Domaine Leflaive, Bourgogne Blanc, you know, it's like what, $100, $120 a bottle for that stuff nowadays. I would compel you to jump towards this wine. This is an incredible Bourgogne Blanc from Olivier Leflaive, also based in Puligny-Montrachet. Great restaurant, by the way. Now, there's something special with this one because they do make a straight Bourgogne Blanc, but this is the Bourgogne Blanc Les Sétilles. Sétilles? I think it's Les Sétilles. And there's something very special about this wine. We were first introduced to this wine probably 10, 12 years ago, actually at a tasting, high-end tasting of Leflaive's wines and Rousseau and all these high-end big-time wines. And, you know, sometimes you go to these events and there's all these fancy bottles, $300, $500, et cetera, et cetera. And in the end, you walk out of the gig and you're kind of like, that friggin' Bourgogne Blanc, what was the story with that? And we do that more often than you think, where we'll have these big tastings, all these grand wines, and leave the event and be thinking about like the $40 bottle, not the $400 bottle. And there was a reason we were thinking about this wine. It's because the sourcing for this is very particular. This is, I'd say 90% of the time, it's 100% from Puligny-Montrachet and Meursault. Two very special, high-end, big-time villages for white Burgundy. Some years, a little Côte Chalonnaise or something could sneak in to flesh it out or pump it up. But in abundant years like 22, this wine is all from the villages of Meursault and Puligny. Now, let's get one thing straight. These aren't necessarily from like Puligny-Montrachet Premier Cru or Meursault Premier Cru, Meursault Premier Cru vineyards. But these are from the village. So just as you get outside the boundary of what's considered Puligny-Montrachet when it says Puligny-Montrachet on the label, then you cross the line, you go into Bourgogne, like just regional Bourgogne wine. And it could be the vineyards a little closer to the road. And same with Puligny, although Puligny's Bourgogne vineyards are actually in a much better location than, say, Chassaigne's Bourgogne Blanc vineyards are, because they're kind of, you can see the line, they kind of, like Puligny's Bourgogne Blanc vineyards almost run parallel with like Chassaigne's Village vineyards. It's kind of weird when you look at the map. And what it does is it creates compelling wine from terroirs, which aren't technically labeled compelling. So long story short, you're getting Puligny and Meursault quality at a fraction the price. At a fraction the price. And these guys have made this wine for years. It's always been different. It's always been delineated separately. It sees a little bit of new oak. The whole thing with Bourgogne Blanc and these regional Bourgogne wines is that they shouldn't be 100% new oak. You know, only once in a great while do you see that, like with that Jean-Michel Guillon Bourgogne Rouge that we sold a few months back, where it was all from Gevrey-Chambertin, and the cellar uses 100% new oak, so everything's getting 100% new barrels. In this case, it's like maybe 10% new barrels, right? Maybe. But the key thing here is enjoying the zip code, enjoying the beauty of the terroir of Puligny and Meursault at a fraction the price. Serious gear here, right? You stick your face in the glass. This has the florals of Puligny, those wonderful, wonderful floral character you get from top flight Puligny-Montrachet. But it also has the base notes of the more of the fatter, richer Meursault styles that we see. You know, some of the Meursault wines can be a bit, you know, broader shouldered, a bit heavier, and you get that, and you get the florals from the Puligny here. The mix actually works perfectly. The blend is expert. this wine tastes so much fancier than the sell price. It is salty, it is minerally, it has just wonderful candied apple center to it with yellow fruit framing the outside. The florals are still there. Dude, this is fancy wine. And it's a wine that, again, caught our attention. It had been a few years since we tasted this cuvee, and it was brought in the other day. And it's like, hey, Les Sétilles, we know this one, and I'll be damned if this didn't, bring back, memories of that. I forget what vintage it was, 2014, 2012, something like that. Memories of that wine, that cuvee at that particular place. This is wine that you're drinking white Burgundy, right? There's Chardonnay that's made in Burgundy, and then there's other times where you're drinking white Burgundy. Does that make sense? That's the best way I can put it. And with this wine, you're drinking white Burgundy. I need to bring that point home, because this isn't just about, oh, it's a little Bourgogne wine. No, you taste the village, you taste the terroir, you taste the area here. There is the richness of more noble wine in this bottle. And that's what floors us every year, man. We'll taste the Polini Montrachet, we'll taste all their fancy wines, and then in the end, it's like, that one, that. And this wine seals the deal again, man. It's $33. $33, man. I know a lot of crappy Chardonnay out there for $33, and I'll tell you what, this is not one of them. Very special wine, and thanks, other Leflaive, for making one of the top Burgundy values on the planet.